There are some stories people don't tell because they're scary. And then there are stories people don't tell because they feel too specific. Like they didn't come from imagination. They came from experience. In the deserts and rural areas of the American Southwest, there's a name that gets mentioned quietly, usually after a pause in conversation. Not because it's famous, but because saying it out loud feels like inviting attention. They call it the Skinwalker. And according to the stories, it doesn't just live in the wilderness, it watches it. In Navajo tradition, the Skinwalker is not just a creature, it's said to be a person who turned into something else. A human who went down a forbidden path, choosing power over balance, control over life, and in doing so, became something unnatural. The stories say a skinwalker can take the form of animals, wolves, coyotes, owls, but the real fear isn't transformation, it's imitation. Because people don't describe skinwalkers as just monsters, they describe them as something that copies life, not perfectly, but close enough to feel wrong. A coyote that stands too still, a shape in the distance that moves like a person but doesn't quite walk right, a voice outside the house that sounds like someone you know, but slightly off, like a memory being replayed incorrectly. Most encounters don't start with fear, they start with discomfort. People report being outside at night and noticing something that doesn't move the way it should, a shadow that doesn't match anything around it, an animal that stays visible too long instead of running away, or a figure at the edge of vision that disappears when you look directly at it. At first, it feels like coincidence, your brain trying to find patterns in the dark, but then it repeats, the same presence. Different nights, different places, always just far enough away that you can't confirm what it is, but close enough that you know it's there. And eventually, it starts behaving differently. It doesn't flee anymore, it observes. There's no reason to connect them at first, until the same types of events start repeating. Footsteps outside that match no visible movement. Sounds that resemble voices from inside the home. Animals reacting before anything is visibly there. And the strange part is not just the events themselves, but the timing. They happen too deliberately. A knock that only occurs when someone is alone. A voice that sounds like a family member but arrives from the wrong direction. A presence that seems to understand when it will be heard and when it won't. One report means nothing, but multiple reports describing the same structure starts to change how people interpret it. It stops feeling like random disturbance and starts feeling like something testing reactions. A large number of sightings happen on roads, especially in rural areas where visibility is limited. Drivers describe seeing something near the edge of headlights. Sometimes it resembles an animal standing upright. Sometimes it looks human-shaped, but not quite stable in form. What stands out is not just appearance, but behavior. It does not run immediately, it waits. And when light hits it directly, it reacts quickly, almost like it understands exposure. In some accounts, it turns away too fast to be natural. In others, it simply steps out of sight without changing speed or posture. There are also reports of it following vehicles, not aggressively, just maintaining distance, always visible in mirrors for longer than expected, never close enough to confirm details clearly. What makes the Skinwalker so unsettling is what it seems to understand. It doesn't act like a mindless creature, it adapts. It learns fear responses. It tests boundaries. It reacts differently when observed versus when ignored. Some people claim it becomes bolder when you acknowledge it, Others say it disappears entirely when confronted directly, almost like it is studying human behavior in real time, trying to understand what makes people react, what makes them run, what makes them freeze, and what makes them believe. And that's what keeps people thinking about it long after the encounter is over, because it doesn't feel random, it feels intentional. There's a warning that appears again and again in modern folklore discussions about the Skinwalker. It's simple. If you ever notice something outside at night that feels wrong, do not engage with it. Do not call attention to it. And do not assume it is unaware of you. Because in the stories, acknowledgement changes the dynamic. It stops being something in the distance, and it becomes something that knows it has been seen. And once that happens, the behavior changes. Not instantly, but gradually, like something learning what kind of person you are. Maybe it's just folklore, stories shaped by fear, isolation, and long nights in places where sound carries too far. Or maybe it's something else. Something that doesn't need to be believed to exist. Something that doesn't attack. Because it doesn't need to. It just watches and learns and waits.